Welcome to Business Reporter's Best of British Business campaign. The UK government spent over £15 billion on foreign aid in 2023, money earmarked to help developing countries build their infrastructure, strengthen their democracy, improve education and raise the overall living standards of their citizens. As part of our Best of British Business series, I'm talking to the experts at Adam Smith International about the role that private expertise plays in achieving global development goals. Jalpa, Ben, Annika, welcome. Jalpa, to you first. Before we get into the details, just explain some of the projects that ASI are working on at the moment.
Yes, of course. So ASI is one of the UK's most respected development advisory companies. Currently, we are implementing 54 projects across 30 countries. So let me give you a few examples. We are managing the aid fund for northern Syria, providing emergency humanitarian support to the population. In 2 years, we have supported almost 4 million people. We've also been working in Somalia since 2013 on the Somalia Stability Fund. This is a multi-donor fund led by the UK government. We've supported almost 3 million people to access socio-economic opportunities. We are also working in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pakistan, supporting the province to become a leader in climate-smart development. So these are a few examples of our work and the difference that we are making to the lives of people around the world.
Why do donors need private companies like ASI to deliver foreign development projects?
Great question. So in fact, donors deliver their aid using a wide range of mechanisms, and using the private sector is just one way that aid is delivered. At ASI, donors do recognise that we bring quite a unique set of capabilities in delivering donor programmes. So for example, we make sure that we have the right mix of global and local expertise, and we combine that with our in-house project managers to assemble the best teams to deliver our projects. We also are very adaptable, and we often pilot. We start small and then we upscale where there are successes. We also make sure that we have long-term impact, so we're not focused on just the short-term gains, but what we can achieve over the long term, and ensure that we leave legacy behind long after the project has ended. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, we are working in really challenging environments, and these are environments that donors do struggle to operate in any significant way because it's risky, it's costly, it's really difficult. But at ASI, we have the systems, we have the expertise to operate safely and deliver results that the donors expect. These unique set of capabilities can make the difference between success and failure on a project. And donors know this, and that's why they trust us to deliver in a way that they're not able to do so themselves.
Ben, transparency is absolutely key. So how can you ensure that projects are transparent, run transparently, but also that they're delivering real results?
So we take transparency and accountability really seriously at ASI. As Jalpa said, we work in some of the most challenging environments in the world, and some of these contexts are characterised by endemic levels of corruption. So it's really important working in places like that we put in place the safeguards in our programmes to make sure that all of the risks are mitigated. Most of our contracts run on an open book basis. And what that means is our clients can see exactly where every pound of taxpayers' money goes, exactly what we're spending that money on. We put in place the systems, the procedures, the processes to build a strong fiduciary risk management foundation in all of the programmes. We then supplement that with internal audit from ASI, with external audit from our clients, and sometimes with third-party monitors to check that things are working as intended.
You've all mentioned sort of a variety of different projects, but I want to focus, and this is your area, Annika, isn't it, on climate change and some projects you're working on specifically there, but also with developing countries and boosting economic growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we've come to realise in recent years is that we can't think about economic development and climate change separately because they're just so closely intertwined. You need a strong economy to deal with the climate shocks that are happening, the fires, the floods, the storms. And at the same time, that we're seeing that investment in green technologies or in infrastructure that builds resilience can really help to boost economic growth as well. So all of our projects now that we're delivering, we're always looking at that climate angle and bringing the two things together. So one of our more sort of investment economics focused projects we've got is called Boost Africa, which is a project that works with businesses across sub-Saharan Africa, whether they be in green technologies or financial apps, and it helps them to access money from venture capitalists. And that can really help them to grow and to create jobs. On the climate side, we work, very locally and with governments on policy. So in the Democratic Republic of Congo, for example, we've worked with coffee farmers, helping them to produce their coffee more sustainably and link up to the international buyers that want to buy those sustainable coffee. And then we do lots of work at the policy level with national governments to help them to develop the systems for tackling climate change. So as I said, it's really about bringing together those, what do you do locally, how do you plan, how do you think about climate, but with that long-term growth angle in mind.
The developing world faces huge challenges and yet aid budgets are limited. How can we essentially do more with less in the future?
It's absolutely critical that aid money continues to be available to address some of those really big global challenges. And there are certain things that only public money can do, whether that's humanitarian response, dealing with natural disasters, saving lives on the front line. But that said, around how can we do more with less, the future of aid is going to be about how we leverage bigger sources of private money that are out there, and how do we use that public money to do things that private money can't do. So to work in the riskiest places and to get things off the ground. There's a lot of money that's out there in pension funds, in banks, that's looking for projects to invest in. And where aid can come in, it can say, okay, we'll create the enabling environment for this. We'll work with government, we'll work on the investment climate, and we'll test things. We'll test business models. So, for example, in the DRC and in Nigeria, we've worked with fairly small renewable energy companies to help them get their products off the ground. And then investors have then been able to come in and say, yep, we'll invest in that and we'll scale that up. And that's really how we see kind of long-term change. It's how do we leverage the bigger sources of money that are out there.
A good example of that was a programme we implemented in Nepal, financed by the UK government. For an £11 million programme, we secured in the hydropower development space a $1.4 billion investment.
This is a really good example of just how much difference aid can make and long-term change that it can affect for people. How we can bring together public and private partnership to really make lasting change.
This is part of our Best of British Business campaign. Does being British help in any regard?
I think it's fair to say we're really proud to be a British business and one of the leading British consultancy firms in the international development sector. Our headquarters is in London, but we've got offices all around the world. We've got a big office in Nairobi, in Pakistan, for example. And so we're British, but we're drawing on global expertise. Most of the people that work for us in our projects are actually from the places where we work, but we're able to bring the British brand, we're able to draw on the great academics in the UK, we're able to draw on other really good partner organisations in the UK that really we can bring together and solve big global problems with using some of the best people in the world.
Jalpa, Ben, Annika, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was Jalpa Patel, Ben Fetton and Annika Burke of Adam Smith International.